Hey guys, so it's week 2 of Strikebackvideoathon, so I'm just going to get right into the prompts because there's no point in waffling right now. Topic number 1 was book boyfriends/girlfriends, because let's face it, we've all fell in love with a guy before. Now, I've got 3 different ones for this, because to be honest, I fall more in love with like TV characters than book characters in my experience so far. I'm sure that'll change, but I do have a couple for this. The first one is, well, Kel to start with from Darker Shade of Magic, Alucard and Rye, and if I'm honest, Lila too. I absolutely adore Kel. I fell in love with Kel really quickly, and then Alucard came along and he was a pirate and he was perfect, and then when it went into like his relationship with Rye and Rye's like really romantic side came out, I just completely and utterly fell in love with them. And then Lila was a badass to the point where she could punch me in the face and I would thank her. So I just fell in love with them all. I fell in love with them all. But to say that, Kel is probably my favourite. If I'm completely honest, Kel is my favourite. This one's going to sound weird. I know this one is going to sound weird, but let me explain. Death from the Discworld. Now, it just, let me explain. It's not that he's physically attractive or anything, because he is just a skeleton, and while that's quite cool, it's still rather scary. But Death in the Discworld, I know I talk about him a lot, but he's so funny in places, and he just doesn't get humanity whatsoever, because he spent his entire life reaping them and just studying them, but he still doesn't get humanity. He doesn't get fun or anything like that. But he, like, the way it's described in Mort made me really fall in love with him, because he's so sweet. And I mean, he's adopted a little girl, and while he's not the best parent in the world, he still really tries. And how he is with her and how he is when he's trying to like understand humanity, he's just incredibly sweet, and I think he'd be a nice one. I could help him maybe understand a bit more about humanity, maybe, or maybe just give him some company. It's just, I just really love him, okay? It's just, he's really sweet, and I really like him. Some people don't, but I really like it. And then Stephen Strange, I mean, that's of no surprise to anybody, and yeah, it's mostly because of the film and the actor who plays him. But, on the other hand, I do love Stephen. I find Stephen absolutely brilliant, because while he's arrogant, he's also got this heart of gold. And, I mean, he does magic, guys. It's like, he does magic. And, like, what am I supposed to do with that apart from fall in love with him? You know, and, like, he's so caring and everything. And while he is quite arrogant and stuff, I love his sass. Like, he just sasses everybody. And I just find that really quite fun. And I feel like we could have, like, a proper sass battles. And also, shallowly, how does that go? Shallowly, yeah, shallowly, he could he could teach me magic, and to be honest, I really want to learn magic, so Stephen. And then finally, Wesley, as in this guy here from The Princess Bride. If you don't know, I am a huge fan of The Princess Bride. I watched the film when I was a kid and absolutely fell in love with it. I quote Inigo Montoya at least once a month, I think. I quote him quite regularly. But to be honest, like, Wesley's my favourite, because he's Wesley. He's the Dread Pirate Roberts, and he's so loving to Buttercup, and you can tell he loves her so much. It's like, and I mean, if somebody said "as you wish" to me, I'd probably melt just entirely. Especially if they said it the way Wesley says it. He's just unbelievably beautiful and everything. And I mean, he looks like this in the film, and I mean, the cover kind of shows it, but it doesn't do him justice. So, but like, Wesley is probably one of my one true loves here, because he's Wesley. Day number 9, which is prompt number 2 for this video, was cover buys. Now, I generally don't buy books for their covers. I generally buy books if the story sounds really good and it's got some really good reviews on it. But I have bought some absolutely beautiful books, so I'm just going to show you those. First one is Ultraviolet, and I mean, look at the shiny to start with. And I don't know if that's screwing up my camera, so I'll stop that now. But this cover is gorgeous. And I mean, I love this book anyway, but this cover I absolutely adore it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. You know, it's just the prettiest thing. And then I'm also going to go with ink. I haven't actually read this one, but I love how shiny it is, and I love all the intricate patterns on it. And it's actually all, like, embossed, so you can actually run your fingers over it, which makes it really, really nice to touch. And then I have the archived as well, because, I mean, just this is unbelievably beautiful, isn't it? It's just gorgeous. I mean, it's just the most gorgeous thing. And I love, like, the back of it as well, which, I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually patterned to look a bit like wallpaper behind the writing. And on the front here, you definitely can't see that. But it's actually got, like, brickwork across the sides here. It's just, I just think it's absolutely beautiful, essentially. And then finally, I just really like the front cover of Deadpool does Shakespeare, you know? Because I quite like Shakespeare, but, I mean, this I just find really funny because I really quite like Hamlet. Hamlet is my favourite Shakespeare play. I've only seen a few, but Hamlet is definitely my favourite, so I like the reference. But also, it's just Deadpool, you know? And I mean, what am I supposed to do without loving Deadpool on the front cover of a comic? You know, it's just brilliant. I just think it's really, really funny. Now for small booktuber shout out, and for this I'm going to go for a new booktuber who's only just started this year, and he's called Ghost Reader. He's part of the group chat I'm a part of, which is Clara's NaNoWriMo book chat, and he's great to talk to. His name is also a pun on Ghost Rider from the Marvel comics, and I am a huge fan of the Ghost Rider. I have been since I was a kid, and it's just a brilliant, brilliant name, so I have to shout him out for this, because I just love the name, and he is a new booktuber, so we should probably all go and show him some love. On to series that I won't finish. For this, I've got quite a few of them, because I've either really not liked them, or the story just didn't grab me enough for me to carry on reading them. The first one being Hold Me Close and Necromancer. I started this last year, and I only got about 10 chapters in, I think it was, in the end, and I just really, in the end, didn't like it, because I just really couldn't get into this series. Like, this series just really, really didn't grab me as such, and I also didn't like the fact that it just felt too fantastical and too ridiculous. Like, the bit that really sort of stopped me reading was his best friend's head turns up. His best friend's severed head turns up in a box and starts talking to him. And he freaks out for like 2 minutes, and then he's absolutely fine with it. And that just sort of stopped me reading it, because for me that was just a bit too far out of, like, how do I put this? It was a bit too fantastical for me to sort of deal with. So I just didn't deal with it. And I just sort of gave up at that point, because I was just like, no, can't deal, won't deal, can't do it. So I gave up at that point. I'm also going to say Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because I'm not talking about the TV show, because I finished the TV show, love the TV show, and I'm not talking about the comics here, I'm talking about the novelizations, because I read one story from the novelizations, and it just dragged for me. I felt like the characters weren't in character, and the story just didn't give me that amount of excitement that the TV show did, and I just couldn't get into it. So I'm going to say that, and probably I may not finish the comics either. I've had about 6 of those comics for about 4 years now, and I've only read about 3. I just got to the bit where Oz leaves again, and Oz is my favourite character, and I got that far, and then I haven't read any further. And I don't know if I will, to be honest, because it's not that I've gone off Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it's just that I haven't watched it in a really long time, and I feel like I need to get myself back into Buffy the Vampire Slayer before I finish the comics. So people keep on saying that the comics are really, really bad, so I don't know. I may read them eventually, but I don't know. But I do know that I'm not reading the novelizations anymore. I'm also not going to continue with the Savages. I know there's only one sequel to this, but to be honest, this one just sort of put me off, because this entire book was a lead-up to a main event that was skimmed over in the last 10 pages, and it just really, really bugged me. Also, this was supposed to be full of, like, dark humour, and I just didn't get the humour. There was no humour in it. And, like, personally, for me, I just didn't find any of it funny. And it was supposed to be really, really dark and all the rest of it, and it just didn't give it to me, to be honest, so I'm not going to read the sequel. I'm also not going to finish Allison Zombieland, because I got 67 pages into this one and got so annoyed I nearly threw it across the room, because the main character's sister died, along with her parents, in a car crash. And she keeps on seeing her sister's ghost, which was fascinating. You know the bit that bugged me? She took one look at the new boy in the school, or the bad boy in the school that she transferred to, I can't remember which one, and all of a sudden, the second she lays eyes on him, all she can see is the two of them making out, and it's all she cares about for the rest of the book. Like, for the rest of it that I read to, that was all she cared about. And to be honest, I'm not here for love stories that take away from the main story of the book. If I wanted to read a love story, I'd go read a romance, you know? And I don't mind a bit of a love story in a book. I want it more like Kel and Lila, where the action still happens, but you get a bit about their relationship, but they're still being badasses and fighting and all the rest of it. And you actually get the storyline with it. In this one, it was all romance and skin-thin storyline, and to be perfectly honest with you, I thought she should be caring more about the fact that she's seeing her sister's ghost than the fact that every time she lays eyes on a guy, she keeps on wanting to make out with him. I'm also not going to finish the Insanity series, which was another Alice in Wonderland retelling, because I read the first one and I only gave it like a 3 stars in the end, but I just found it very, very odd but not very compelling, so I don't think I'm going to continue with that one either. Mum says it's amazing, but for me personally, I just could not really get into it, and I found that I didn't really care for any of the characters either, no matter how fantastical and weird it was. The next prompt was favourite bookish romances. Wesley and Buttercup is my number 1. Oh my god, I love them so much. Like, Wesley and Buttercup were just unbelievably amazing. Like, I mean, As You Wish, just that by itself. And I mean, the fact that they go on this huge fantastical adventure together where they're fighting like Prince Humperdinck, and then they're going through like that forest bit, they get attacked by like the quicksand and the ROUSs, and it's all the true love stuff and everything, and there's princesses and giants and shrieking eels and everything they go through. I love The Princess Bride. I love Wesley and Buttercup. I love them so much. Words cannot describe how much I love Wesley and Buttercup. And now I really want to reread this book again. I absolutely love it. But Wesley and Buttercup are my favourites. Oh my god, they're amazing. And they're so fun. And they are the definition of true love in books for me, to be honest. I absolutely adore them. And I mean, as I said earlier, if a guy said "As You Wish" to me and he said it like Wesley does, I'd melt and marry him on the spot with the marriage speech from The Princess Bride, with a guy doing the accent and everything. That is my dream wedding. And then I also love Kel and Lila. They are to me, they are the definition of the battle couple. I absolutely love like how battle ready they are, and how even though they love each other and everything, it never stops them getting in the way of everything that they want to do. So like, Lila leaves in the first one, spoiler alert, but Lila leaves in the first one to go and find her own and things like this. And even though she misses Kel, she never really lets it get in the way of what she's doing, and Kel does the exact same thing. And I absolutely love that about each other. And even though like they love each other and they very, very much love each other, they never let it get in the way of everything that they have to do or they want to do or anything. They just love each other, but they get on with the job at the same time, which I adore. And then the other couple in this, obviously, Ryan Alucard. Ryan Alucard. Oh my god, their love story makes me want to cry. I love everything about their romance. I mean, like, how complicated it was and how much they fought for each other and everything. Just, it makes my heart pound. I absolutely love them. I love them so much. It makes me want to cry. I love Ryan Alucard so much, and I love the dynamics of the two of them and how they fought for each other and everything. They're just, their romances are amazing. I love their romance so much. I know the prompt says 12 couples, but that is literally the only 3, because I haven't read that many romancy books and liked them. So they're my top 3 at the moment. They're my only 3, because I have absolutely no idea like what else I could say for those ones, or any others for that matter. Like, I don't really read that many books with romances in. I'm trying to change that and try and find books that have romances in, but at the moment those are like the only two with the only 3 couples that I've really loved. They'll probably change once I start reading like Beauty and the Beast retellings and stuff like that, but currently those are my only 2 books, unless I started going into TV shows, at which point I'll be here forever. Prompt number 13 was quick read recommendations. Now, I've got quite a few for this, so I'm just going to get right into it and not waffle. Number 1 is the Spiderwick Chronicles. I absolutely adore these books. I read them as a kid, and they're so imaginative and everything. They're by Holly Black, who just did The Cruel Prince. So, you know she's an absolutely amazing author, and these are her kid series. I mean, all the books are only about this long, but they're all absolutely beautifully, if I can find a page, but they're all beautifully illustrated the whole way through, and they're just really short, quick reads, but they're totally encompassing and make you really look at the world in a different way, I'd say. And I mean, they're so portable and everything. I absolutely adore these books, and you can get the big field guides and everything. The world is so fun. I absolutely love it, and these are one of my top quick reads ever. I also say this book, which is The Secret of Platform 13, and this one I have been reading since I was about, I don't know, 10, I think. I can't actually remember. I have had this book for so long, and it's all about like fairies and everything, and it's like a kid's book, and it's so all encompassing. It's absolutely brilliant. And on the back, I mean, look how cute this creature is. That creature turns up in the book, and it's just, it's absolutely beautiful, and I would highly recommend reading The Secret of Platform 13 if you ever see it. I don't actually know if it's still in print. I have no idea, but it is seriously a great, fun, quick read. Literally, it's that long. It's only 185 pages, you know, so it's a really quick read. I'd also say A Series of Unfortunate Events. Spiderwick is about the same sort of size as A Series of Unfortunate Events, so it's like this size and about that fat. Well, actually, A Series of Unfortunate Events is a bit bigger than this, but it's still really quite portable. And while the books get longer as time goes by, they're still quite quick reads. I mean, I've read the short ones in about 2 hours each time, and I reckon that book number 13 is probably only going to take me about 3 hours to read, I think. So it's quite a quick read, and you can dip in and out of these books quite well, and you don't really have to read them all in one sitting, which is quite nice. Also, if you want quick reads, I'd also recommend the Discworld. This is probably one of the fattest ones we have, but they're all quite short, really. They're like, the shortest is like 250 pages long, and then I mean there are some fatter ones that are about 400 pages, but again they go so quickly you don't notice the time, and you get so swept up in it that you just can't help but just carry on reading obsessively, and you can't stop. And that's what I absolutely love about the Discworld as well, because they're just really quite short, but they're all encompassing at the same time. And then obviously I'm going to say all comics as well, because all of them are only about this fat, and they, like, a comic this size probably only takes me about an hour to read, I think, because they're really quite short, but again they're all encompassing, but at the same time you don't have to have that much brain power going into it, because you can just read it and you don't have to think too hard about what's going on or anything. You've got all the pictures there and everything, and I absolutely love comics, and I love reading them, especially during like really busy weeks when I don't have that much time. I absolutely adore reading comics, and I'd say all comics are about this size as well, so it's really quick. The last prompt was disappointing reads. I've only got a couple of these because I want to keep it a bit short, because, well, otherwise I'll be here for days, but I do have a couple that I want to talk about. First one, please don't kill me, but I'm going to say The Night Circus, simply because I just didn't like the storyline. I know I talk about this quite a lot, but I just didn't like the storyline. I was expecting great big magic battles, and what I got instead was a love story. But I would say with this, I really liked the prose in it. I really liked how it was written and how lyrical it was. That I really enjoyed. It was just the storyline I didn't like. I'm also going to say Warm Bodies, because I watched the film before I read the book, so like I was expecting R to be really like sarcastic and things like that, and instead I sort of got a normal book that sort of followed the story of the film but without all the humour, which kind of bored me in the end. I mean, it's not a bad read, it's quite interesting, but at the same time I really wanted like more of the humour of the film, to be honest. I'm also going to say The Savages, which I know I said earlier, but yeah, this one was not the most fun to read because I kept on waiting to see what the big, like, build-up was to, and I wanted the book to be all about the thing that happened, like when they got found out to be cannibals. I wanted to read about that. I did not want to read about the week leading up to it. I wanted to read about them going on the run after being discovered to be cannibals, and I just didn't get that, and that just really disappointed me. Also, this was supposed to be really dark and humorous, and I didn't get that, so I was quite disappointed. But that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up, and if you have any of the answers to these, please tell me down below in the comments what you thought of any of the books I've mentioned, or any other books that fit the prompts for these videos. Please tell me down below any of those. Also, if you want me to check out your channel, please tell me that down below as well, and leave the links so I can go check them out, because I want to find more booktubers and find more smaller booktubers and support you all, because that's what Strikebackvideoathon is all about. So if you have any links of booktuber recommendations or anything like that, please tell me those down below, because that'd be great. I will also leave the links down below to all of my social media if you want to check any of those out, including my blog, where I've done my January wrap-up and my February TBR, because I read a lot of books in January, and I've got quite an ambitious TBR for February, so I'll leave the links to those down below. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time, guys, bye!